Boom, it's Mind Pump time. All right, here's what we're going to give away today. Free access to MAPS Aesthetic, one of our most popular workout programs. How do you get free access? Here's what you got to do. Leave a comment in the first 24 hours that we drop this episode. Make it a really good comment. Help us with our algorithm. That's the reason why we do this. We want to get ranked higher on YouTube. But if your comment is the best comment, you're going to get free access to an incredible program, MAPS Aesthetic. Also, you need to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. You got to do those things in order to win. One more thing before we start the podcast. We are running a promotion. MAPS Aesthetic and our Extreme Fitness Bundle are both 50% off. Go check them out at mapsfitnessproducts.com. Just use the code May Special for that discount. All right, enjoy the podcast.
Since we brought up on the show, we've started talking about everybody, that is either listening in the fire stations, police stations.
Right.
I've had Navy. I've had all kinds of people reach out and had another shout out. What's the most recent one, Doug, that we have right now?
Yeah, we have the HMAS Canberra from the Australian Navy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, holla.
That's very cool.
Yeah, very, very cool.
Yeah, good stuff, boys. Thank you. Thank you for that.
I want to talk about Justin's $80 T-shirt that he's wearing today.
Right.
Why is it so expensive?
I mean, because it hugs me. It really like.
Well, these days
contours.
These days, every shirt hugs you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It looks fantastic. Do you know the name of the brand or no?
I don't know. It's
like
down
a,
here.
It's
Hold
like
on.
a boutique, right? You got
it's this brand, whatever the heck this is. Like, I don't know. Like, it's got an N and it has like colors. Yeah, I've seen it on a bunch of things.
Yeah. Hey, do you recognize?
expensive.
Do you recognize this guy? I know Justin does. Do you know who this is?
Yes.
Is that from the what movie we talk about?
Oh my
all the
God,
time
dude,
with
I
Kurt
can't-
Russell?
Oh
Yeah.
my. Oh,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
that's good.
Yeah, yeah.
You remember the name?
I know the name. I can't think of it right now. God, I can't think of the name right now.
Damn it!
You know I know what it is though. It's with Kurt Russell and.
I think it was Wuhan. Who? Don't look yet. I already did. No, I won't.
His name is Lopan. This is Lopan.
Yeah, Lopan.
Lopan.
Yeah.
From Big Trouble.
Yeah,
in
it's
China.
a Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, so I had this. So Jessica got me this because we had this conversation where we were talking about like great movies when we were kids or whatever, growing up. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, we have to watch Big Trouble in Little China.
Dude.
And she's like, what? I'm like, trust me, it's awesome. You'll love it. So then I started explaining it to her.
Jack Burton.
Yeah, I started explaining it to her. She's like, what's it about? I'm like, all right. So it's like you're in Chinatown.
Yeah.
And then like mystical warriors are attacking. One guy has
Like
electricity.
Mortal Kombat, like gods are coming down from the sky.
Yeah, there's like Chinese gangs that are fighting each other.
And she's like, "Oh, this sounds
Totally
so
yeah,
good."
normal.
yeah, dude. She's like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no, it's way better
They're
than
in
that.
love with green-eyed girls.
Did she watch
apparently.
it?
There's a monster. No, she won't.
She won't even watch
No,
it.
and you know why
I don't
she won't watch it? Because I ruined it with one movie, which I still think she's wrong. But and we'll ask the audience if they think who they think is right here. I talked her into watching what I believe to be one of the best vampire movies of all time, which when we were kids.
Twilight.
No, that's the worst,
I
right?
was about to slap you. if that was
Justin,
true.
name a great vampire movie from when we were kids. That was just awesome.
Oh yeah, I mean the one that they shot it's Santa Carla, right?
Yes, yes.
God,
Lost Boys.
Lost Boys. Yeah, I forget.
But I still want you, Lucy. I haven't changed my mind about that.
I didn't invite you this time, Max.
The name.
Bro, that's a great movie.
Amazing movie.
So we watched it and she thought it was terrible.
Get out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
Jessica, just go home.
We all disagree with you.
Those are old classics, and you have to be into it. I feel like to watch it now, because part of what ruins old movies like that when you introduce it to like your kids,
They don't have the connection.
Well, and it's cheesy
and,
too.
Well, yeah, because acting and the camera and everything has come like so far.
But Lost Boys wasn't cheesy.
No,
yeah, but it's like you could. I mean, the makeup and the and the lighting in it.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's an 80s movie for
it's
sure.
an 80s
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like my Rad, right? I mean, you have to like.
Well, that's legit stupid.
No. You haven't even watched it. You can't say that.
Roll, dude.
You can't
I
talk
saw
shit.
one clip, dude. The freaking music, slow motion on his
You
bike.
can't.
Send me an angel.
Yeah, come on,
You
dude.
can't judge a movie by a 15-second clip. Get out of here with that.
You know what I watched yesterday?
Especially while you're talking about the movies you're talking about right now.
I'm
Come on.
I'm teasing you. I'm teasing you. No, you know what I watched a little bit yesterday was the remake of Red Dawn. I never saw the original Red Dawn. Was that
really?
good?
With Arnold?
I mean,
No.
It was another one of those 80s
Dolph
movies that was.
Lundgren, is it?
No. Red Dawn was
That's
the
what I'm
one.
thinking.
Red Dawn
You're thinking of
was
the one I'm
when-
thinking of.
But Justin knows.
Okay, so it was basically under the premise that like the Soviets had taken over
Yes.
and won like the Cold War.
Yeah, so
Who's the main actor?
Isn't Patrick Swayze in that one? Maybe Doug, look up Red Dawn, 1980s Red Dawn.
You know, I
yeah,
think you're
Patrick
right.
Swayze.
Yeah.
So they're like high school kids, and then like some of the high school kids have like an older brother who's like this Navy guy or whatever, and the Soviets invade the U.S. and these kids become. I never watched it, so I'm just speaking out of like reading about it.
Yeah.
And these kids like figure out like they fight back or whatever, and it's like a classic apparently.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Is it?
It is good. It's not like one of the ones like the staple classics like I would go back to, but it was mildly entertaining.
Yeah,
it wasn't bad.
It's like a cult. It's got like
It's a cult
following.
classic.
Have you been like going through like all the 80s movies and watching them or what? What's up with that?
No, it was. I did for a second because we had that conversation, and then I saw the remake of Red Dawn, and the remake is, and this is how I convinced Jessica to watch 15 minutes of it. Because at first she's like, I don't want to watch this, and I'm like, that guy that plays Thor is in it. And she's like, and of course
I'm in.
She's like, who? I'm like, you know who it is. Yeah, she's trying to pretend. All right, I'll try it. I'm like, you know exactly who it is. That's why you want to watch it now.
Yeah.
15 minutes into it though, it sucked.
Yeah.
It wasn't good at all. Yeah, it was North Korea invading, which is like,
Yeah.
no.
No, I've been going on the 80s kick too, and mainly because I'm trying to get my kids to like, you know, watch some of the old stuff, like the nostalgic movies I grew up with and whatnot. And they like most of it. I think it's because they know I like it, but then later they're kind of like, yeah, Dad, I don't know about that one. You know, like they've been giving me that a lot lately. So, what are you gonna do?
Do they talk crap about the special effects and stuff?
Yeah,
that's my kid.
That's it. And even a movie like Top Gun, I'm like, dude, this movie's amazing. You know, like you guys love this, and it's like, meh. You know, like it was kind of cheesy, Dad.
Oh, really?
Like cheesy.
Now they're at that age though. They're old enough boys now where they're watching probably cool movies. What are they into right now? Like what's a favorite? Do you know a favorite movie of theirs right now?
Well, I know Everett's like really into monster movies still. Like he's gone down the rabbit hole of all Godzilla and like all Pacific Rim and like everything.
Oh, cool.
you
I
know,
watched that this
possible.
weekend.
Did you?
Yeah.
Pacific Rim?
Yeah. Katrina went over with Max over to her mom's house for the weekend or for the day, all day. And I was home, and I was like, I haven't been home alone like that in a long time. And she doesn't like to listen to the TV loud. It drives me crazy because I have these like badass surround sound.
Yeah, because you're all about the experience.
I'm all about that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm all about having the movie theater experience at your house, and so. You know, I went upstairs in the movie room and stuff and like set volume 70 and watch. And I actually, the way I landed on Pacific Rim.
You're like that guy from what was that, the Maxwell commercial?
Bro.
He's like,
So me.
Yeah.
And the way I landed on Pacific Rim was I Googled best surround sound movies. And Pacific Rim is like,
Now, had you seen it before?
yeah, I've seen it
Oh,
before.
okay.
Yeah, I saw it quite a while ago.
It's not. It's actually.
It's good.
It's
I
one of the
enjoyed
best
it. It
monster
was-
movies.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Like I liked that. No, I remember right now, like what movie was like total mess was Short Circuit. Remember that movie, the 80s movie about
that was
the
a great
robot?
movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so too. But like kids were making fun of me like about the whole thing, and I'm just like, dude. And I it was so funny because
Johnny Five.
yeah, it was actually the second one where he like ends up joining this gang, and so I remembered the whole song because it was like ridiculous back in the day.
What was the name of the gang? Was it
Miss Locos?
Miss Locos.
Miss Locos, kick your head.
That's it.
Miss Locos, kick your face.
Yeah.
Miss Locos,
Didn't
kick
they
your
make like a
balls
remake
into
of that?
outer
Like just like a few
space.
years ago? Didn't they do a remake?
I don't know.
They did. It was like very, very similar to Short Circuit, but
Yeah.
like a newer version of it.
I don't know.
And he
See-
got caught in a gang, everything like that.
Short Circuit 1 was good. 2 was dumb.
See,
Let's
I
be
like
honest.
2 versus 1.
Do you really?
Yeah, because it's so bad, it's good. Yeah, yeah, it's like so cheesy and awful. I love it.
No.
Yeah.
You know what's really good that also couldn't convince my wife to watch was 28 Days Later.
Oh my god.
That's the movie that brought zombies back.
Yeah, that'll freak you out.
Yeah, because zombies, now zombies are cool again, I guess. But when for a while it was very campy, and if you made a zombie movie, you were basically, you were going to tank. Nobody took him seriously. 28 days later comes on, and they change the whole thing. And these are zombies that are like fast
They're
and aggressive.
fast, and scary. Like,
Would you say it's very campy?
Yeah, it was campy. Like zombies got like silly, like and they're slow and
Never heard that term for a
yeah,
movie.
yeah. I think I'm using the term right.
Yeah.
Is that right? Doug? Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Doug. For what? So it means
cheesy.
so campy is like another word for cheesy.
Yeah, kind of.
yeah.
Kind of.
Where's the reference come from?
Well,
like sitting around a campfire telling cheesy stories.
I don't know
I
what
think
that
it's like so you.
I've never heard anyone use that before.
Yeah, you go on like you're at a camp, like your camp counselor is like telling you a story. It's like, "Nyeh."
Well, that's what came to mind when you
Yeah.
said it. I was thinking like sitting around telling like a cheesy
I have
campfire
no
story.
idea. I know what it means, but I have no
like
idea.
You're
That's
like,
what it is.
I used it properly. I just don't know where it came from.
Here it says in let's see, in the style of camp, absurdly exaggerated, artificial, or affected in a usually humorous way, campy horror movies. So yeah, so it's basically all those things. It's kind of like cheesy.
Yeah.
So it's exactly what
Does
you
it say
said.
where the term comes from, Doug?
It says it's probably from the French.
We're just going to credit them. Huh?
Yeah.
French, huh? Okay.
Used chiefly by persons of exceptional want of character. How very campy is. I don't know where that came
Yeah.
from. But
I mean the whole slow zombie thing. Like so you guys watch Walking Dead, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it just got to a point where you're like, okay, so there's like more of them, but they just move this fast. I wasn't gripped by it.
Oh, 28 Days Later was a completely different experience. Terrifying, well made, very, very good. Brought the whole genre back.
Yeah.
Made it very, very good.
I'm going to make a left turn here. Doug, you've been to Japan, right?
Yes.
You lived there. So I have something for you that I thought was really interesting. So I listened to I was just telling Justin this before Sal walked in. I was listening to the founder of Lululemon. And do you know how he came about with that name? So
I do, but here you told me.
So there's no L's in the Japanese language.
yeah.
Okay. So the backstory is this.
I'm going to make it really hard for
No,
Japanese
listen.
to
No, listen. So
much.
he used to have a company called Homeless. He had like a skate brand before Lululemon ever existed. The guy's a billionaire, right? So he's came up with a bunch of cool stuff. And he had like this skate brand before that was called Homeless. And it was pretty much tanking. And every time he'd go back to Japan, like they were trying to buy that name from him, and they kept offering him more and more money for it, and he just was like, because it had an L in it, it was very American. It was very American, and that's why they wanted it so bad. And so when he was coming up with a name to name his athleisure wear brand, which was going to become Lululemon, his strategy was to put 3 L's in it because he knew he could probably sell it for 3 times more if it didn't take off anywhere.
really?
Yeah. So that was where Lululemon came from.
So how would they say it then in Japan? How would they pronounce it?
Lululemon or something like that.
Okay.
Lululemon. It's hard to say.
I didn't know they didn't have L in their.
I didn't know
They
that.
don't have an L. No.
I didn't know that either.
That is very
Isn't that
interesting.
a random fact?
That is very, very interesting.
Yeah.
That's actually true of a lot of languages where they don't have particular sounds at all, and so it's a totally new sound. I do know that. That's weird.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I thought that was really,
Yeah,
and that was the sole reason. And he was like, he was sitting
weird.
there, he was sitting there. I want 3 L's in it. He was like, la 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 la, la, and that's like how it came how it came about.
Yeah. Interesting.
I want to. I don't know what it is. I've always wanted to go to Japan. I've always felt this interesting connection to the culture and the just everything about Japan. Never been there.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to go.
it
there,
would be
though.
cool. It would be cool to go there.
Yeah,
for
like
sure.
the samurai history, their martial art history, the way that they respect their elderly, and I had
shoe market.
I had so Doug obviously lived there, so he
Yeah,
would
they
tell
make
me a lot
great
about it.
steaks. They got good whiskey
Bro,
there.
speaking of steaks, you guys know that the Salt Bay guy?
Oh yeah.
I just saw Mark Wahlberg do that. With
Yeah.
him.
Okay. So he has a restaurant down in L.A., right? Have you seen what his steaks go for? He does these golden tomahawk steaks. Doug, you have to pull this up. Literally, Google golden steaks.
Is it sprinkle gold on them?
It's a gold leaf, and it's tasteless. And they wrap the steaks in this. And the cheapest one I think goes for $650. Most of them are like $1,000 to $2,000 for a steak.
So hold on.
And the restaurant is packed, and everybody's eating it.
Do they take the gold off, or do you eat
No,
it with
no,
the
you
gold?
eat
It
it with
doesn't
gold.
add it all to the flavor.
No,
It's
it's like a tomahawk steak wrapped in gold.
Yeah.
Like literally, it's a gold leaf. Look at there it is right there. See that?
The heck?
That's a $1,000 steak, and I saw a video. This girl that I follow was like in there, and like everyone was eating it. Like
So
it's just literally for the gram, right?
It
Like
is, and-
Everybody's in there.
and
that's
here's
why
the-
it's brilliant.
And here's the thing, seeing what's happening to the dollar and how things are getting inflated. I mean, you would eat that and then probably. I mean, I don't think you digest gold. You probably save it afterwards. You know what I mean?
No, I don't think that
salvage
goes
it.
down.
I think gold goes through your body. I don't think you absorb it. I think it would go right. You'd have gold poop afterwards.
Yeah.
Like gold speckles.
It's a leaf. It's a leaf. It's a gold leaf that it's wrapped in. So.
Yeah, so it's like thin, right?
It's like Wagyu beef already, right? Or Wagyu. How do you say that?
Wagyu.
Say it, Doug.
Wagyu.
Wagyu.
Hold on, try it one more time.
No, fuck that. Doug said it for the audience. They know what it is. They know what I meant, right?
Have you ever eaten like legit Wagyu steak or like a piece of it? Have you ever had like the real deal?
Yeah, we have. We've had it. We had it at the steakhouse when we were all together.
It's so it like melts.
It's amazing.
Insane.
Yeah, the steak alone would already be like a $250 steak.
Well, that's the thing. It's like he's just trying to find another way to like raise the price up. Like
No,
crazy,
you're right. It's totally
Because it doesn't add flavor.
no, nothing. It's literally for the presentation. I mean, that supposedly. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I want to go to the restaurant now. I saw the videos of it. It looks hella cool. There's gold steak. Everybody's eating.
Yeah.
But they do like this whole presentation.
They
come over.
it, you know.
Yeah.
Just take care of me.
No,
I'll take the steak.
I'm eating.
I didn't
gold
even
right
know
now.
this was a thing. Did you guys know this?
Do you have the discounted steak with cubic zirconium? Because I can't afford the gold.
I mean, you can order steaks, right, they don't have the gold on it. But if you get one of their gold steaks, I think the cheapest one is $650 for one steak, and then they go all the way up to like $2,000.
That's insane.
I know. And when I saw this, I saw like a restaurant that was just packed of people, and you could see all the gold steaks.
And for dessert, you get to burn a stack of cash. It's fucking great. Such a great place.
Hey, they you know, sometimes they do that with the flaming tray.
Yeah.
It's like a stack of hundreds, and they're like,
Yeah.
we're gonna
put all your money in here.
we're gonna warm up your dessert with this money fire.
Yeah. Molten lava cash.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I'm more likely, though, I'll be honest, I'm more likely to spend a lot of money on a meal than I am to buy things because of the experience.
Of course.
But just for me, at least. I know some people like, other things, but for me, I like the
I
experience.
like things too, though.
But I don't know if I'd spend $1,000 on a piece of meat.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, if it makes sense, like if it enhances the meat and like it's like
It doesn't.
the best thing. Yeah, so to me, that's just silly.
Oh, dude, I got something for you, Justin.
Okay.
Did you hear the new news on Epstein?
No, I have not.
There is news on Epstein. I'm going to bring it up
I've
for
been
you.
wondering because this whole Ghislaine Maxwell thing, like she's just sort of disappeared into the ether.
So this is mainstream media. So here's the title of the article. Jeffrey Epstein's prison guards. So these are guys that were guard. Remember, he killed himself.
Yeah.
And the security camera, they lost the footage.
Allegedly.
Yeah, a bunch of weird shit happened, right? Like a million things that could never happen all at the same time all happen.
Yeah, conveniently.
So Jeffrey Epstein's prison guards admit to falsifying records.
Whoa.
In a deal to avoid jail time.
Whoa.
They admitted it.
What?
How insane is that?
Like they falsified records, but I mean, what are they admitting right now? Like besides that, they just messed with the records.
It says here, so instead of jail time, so the two guards, Noel and Thomas, would receive a supervised release, be required to complete 100 hours of community service, and be expected to cooperate fully with an investigation that's being conducted by the Justice Department's Inspector General. So essentially what they're saying is that they falsified the records, and that's where we're at so far. So now they're agreeing to talk about everything. So here's the question. Are the prison guards going to be, is someone going to suicide them? That's the question now.
Wow.
Now that they admit it.
Suicide them.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
They're on a death watch
Yeah.
immediately.
I know.
I feel like that got
There's like a
all.
clock
Don't you guys
running.
feel like that all got like brushed under the rug? It was like such a big deal, and then all of a sudden, no one's talking about it.
100%.
I do, because right after that, we had the killer hornets and then a bunch of other weird news
yeah.
to get us off the track.
Well, now you see the connection with Bill Gates and Epstein and all that being on the logs and stuff, and that's like, ooh, we gotta throw some else out there.
I
now.
know, right?
Yeah.
So along those lines of weird stuff. So this is getting crazy now with the alien stuff. It just keeps coming out,
Oh
right?
God.
I saw that what Joe Rogan posted the other day.
Which one? The one
video,
that went in the water?
Yeah.
Okay. So
it was submerged.
there's even more now. So I think it was in 2017. I'm going to pull it up right now. So I have the article. I think it was in 2017 that astronomers saw this meteor, this asteroid that they found, and it was very strange. It was a very strange asteroid. First off, it was shaped like a cigar, so it wasn't round.
Oh yeah.
And the way that it was flying was it was going head over heels. And usually asteroids aren't that weird shape. The color of it was red, so it means it was outside of our
It
solar
looks like it
system.
was on your Bristol stool chart.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
That's right.
That's
Number
right.
2.
It's a number. No, it's a number
number
3.
4.
It's an or 4.
It was 4. Yeah.
Is you sure it wasn't
It
3?
was 4.
All right, we'll double
it's
check
the
that.
healthy one.
It's a healthy poop essentially. But it's the color tells the astronomers now that it came from out of the solar system. The way that it was moving.
How come? How does just because it's painted red, it means it's out of the solar system?
You know, I don't know the science.
Painted? Who's painting it?
Well, I mean, it's red. It got red somehow.
It said alien on it. Adam's like, well, yeah, but how do you know?
It's all Russian.
I have no idea.
Well, I mean, come on. Because something is red, we all of a sudden just assume
I
it's.
think that there's a certain color.
If it was
and
green,
characteristics.
if it was green or yellow, it would be here.
No. I think that there's certain colors and characteristics of asteroids that we know originate from our solar system, based on what we know. I don't know the details, but that's what they said in this article.
Okay, so let's believe it.
It also lacked the particles and gases that usually surround a trail comet, known as a coma. Didn't have that. It was moving unusually fast, like I said, tumbling head over heels, and accelerating in speed as if it was being pushed. So now they're going back and they're saying that might have been alien of alien origin. It might have been alien technology. They kind of
so it has like its own propulsion on like an actual like meteor.
Yeah. So they're looking back at all the data, and now all these scientists are going, okay, this is too weird. We should have investigated this thing back in 2017.
What's the new term now? It's not UFO anymore. You guys aren't supposed to call it UFO. That's like there's a new term that you're supposed to use. What's the new term? Come on, both you dorks are into this, and neither one of you guys.
Flying saucer.
I've heard it before.
Yeah,
but it's,
put it. Google.
I refuse to change my
UFO
vernacular.
old term. UFO old term.
It's we can't say aliens. They're undocumented.
No,
flying through
it's something like
Sorry.
that. It's no one says UFO anymore. If you're really into this, you're not supposed to say that. So I just want to get you guys in the.
I know there's a term, but I forgot.
There is.
I'm old school though.
No,
UFOs,
I'm with you.
Well, if you guys want all of these,
You've evolved too much.
These other conspiracy theories people to get on board with you better get with the right.
Well,
get with the right terminology.
Yeah. Well, here this isn't a conspiracy
Doug, what
theory.
is
Did you guys hear about China?
There it is, right there.
Okay.
UAPs.
Wait. Hold on. Craps? What's a crap?
I don't know.
Can you find out what a crap is? There's an
Yeah,
acronym
here.
crap. What is that?
Okay, unidentified aerial phenomena.
Yes.
Is
Okay.
UAP.
UAP is the new name.
Why would they change the name?
Yeah, we had it. It was just fine. Like UFO. That
Got to
worked.
evolve, guys.
Actually, I have a theory.
Oh, okay. Here you. Completely ridiculous alien piffle. That's a crap.
Alien piffle.
I have no idea where that came
So
from.
I have a theory, Justin.
So that last one sounded like a crap to me.
It did. Yeah. But it looked like one too. I have a theory though as to why they would change the name.
Okay.
Because they're slated. They've already announced this, by the way. The government has already announced, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in the next year or two, that they're going to release like a whole shit ton of information that's been classified on UFOs.
Under UFO. So now they have to reclassify it so they can still hold that secret?
No, I think they're going to change the name because people now associate UFOs with fake conspiracy theories, and I think they're going to release stuff and they're going to say they exist. That's what I think. It's like we got to change the name. UFO now has a negative connotation.
Okay, so now explain to me why. Okay, I just read that China has plans of creating an artificial moon that's just supposed to like.
Oh, I heard that.
Yeah, supposed to like go over this one city and light it up.
What's the point? What's the point of that?
Like, I have no idea. I'm trying to figure this out.
You know, that reminds me of a movie where they created an artificial moon.
Like it keeps getting bigger, and then it has a laser on it. It blows us up.
We're going to call it the Death Star.
Yeah.
It'll be flying over the Earth.
Like, honestly, what are we doing?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Crazy.
And that's
stuff.
a real thing. I'm not just like throwing that out of my ass.
That's actually true. And then speaking of which, apparently there's new stuff coming out that is connecting. Now this is becoming more mainstream that potentially the coronavirus did come from the Wuhan lab. Do you guys remember when that was like, if you just said that, everybody was like, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're full of shit.
You're a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, there's a lot of mainstream people now that are saying there's more evidence that indicates that that's actually where they came from.
Right. Well, I mean, are we ever going to get resolve with the origin of it? It's just like that's pipe dreams.
And really, does it matter other than just putting the blame on somebody?
Of course it matters.
I mean,
of
the
course.
world wants to know.
Other than putting the blame on somebody,
Somebody's got to take responsibility.
That makes a big difference,
Yeah.
right? Because if we put the blame, if China says, or we find out that
we don't want to replicate it again, right?
well, that they came from their lab, now they could potentially be held responsible for all the problems and damage that it's caused.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a big dart. It's a bad mark against them. And then, if it's proven, we're gonna not want to know how did you make it. What was it combined with, which will give us even more information.
Who was
on,
involved in funding this and all that stuff?
yeah. But don't you think if they knew that, they would have made the cure for themselves over there? Don't you think that was if they
Not if they weren't planning on releasing it. Like that's a different story. I don't think that anyone's saying that
that's
they
totally different. Like
tried to release it.
Yeah, if it's under the assumption it was an accident, and we keep going in that direction, we haven't got anywhere with that. Like there's still a lot of pushback. So I'd like to see more like WHO and them really getting in there investigating.
Yeah, see what's happened. Hey, speaking of which, you know what? My cousin got married this weekend, and it was the first like actual family function where there were more than 5 people. It wasn't huge, right? It was still small.
This is the second one. You've brought it up twice now.
The wedding.
No, that you've got together with a bunch of family.
Yes, but this was like big, much bigger. So not huge, but much bigger. So I got to see cousins and stuff that I haven't seen for a year and a half at least.
Yeah.
And it was nice, man. It was really nice to see. Everybody was so emotional, and
Everybody's all duded up and dressed up.
everybody was good. I had the baby there, and so everybody got to
His
meet the baby.
onesie was so cool.
Did you see that? The little bow tie on it?
Yeah,
It was really
cool.
good.
Yeah, it was
but anyway, so, okay, so we're supposed to talk about MIIR. So check this out, right? So I was driving up there. It's about a 2.5 hour drive. And I always put water in my, water in a cup or whatever and drive up with it. And I didn't bring my MIIR cup. I had some other cup that I found that's also supposed to be insulated.
Yeah.
I don't know what MIIR does, but they're way more effective at keeping the temperature.
It's
of your
almost
stuff.
too effective because I had hot tea this weekend in my MIIR cup, and I had to I made it, put it on, and then this is actually when I was watching the movie upstairs, right? And I burnt the shit out of the top of the roof of my mouth because it had been sitting there for like 10 minutes. I had like forgot about it. I was eating, I was watching TV, and then I reached over to grab it, and I just assumed because it had been sitting there for a while that it would have cooled down like temperature to where I could drink the hot tea. Burned the shit out of me. So
Courtney did the same with the soup.
Yeah,
'Cause
you
she
gotta
was
let
low
it
under the
breathe.
weather. Yeah, and it was like
it holds the
steaming
temperature
hot.
so good.
Yeah, because the other one I had, because it's hot up there, hotter than it is here typically, and I go to drink my water, and it was warmer. It was warmer. With the MIIR one, I could leave that in there forever.
Yeah.
I open it up, and I'm like, holy cow, this is still cold.
Dude, so what's the deal? Because I have a Yukon and then also have like a truck, a Denali truck, and the cup holders are different because I could fit that mug that MIIR has for coffee, and I could fit it just fine in my truck, but I can't fit it in the Yukon.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, and I was like, why are they different sizes? This is pissing me off.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I didn't, because I'm trying to think right now, my truck versus the.
Which one's bigger?
The truck.
I'm wondering if because they're hitting a different market.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe
one's
it's
more
like-
family, more likely to be driven by both male and female, family type of vehicle versus the truck, which is the guy he's
got
the
a big ass mug or thermos in there.
Yeah.
I would assume so.
That must be it.
because you know what I noticed too is
But you would think same company, you would think they would have like it would make sense to have, because when you look at like most of the trucks, the Yukons of it, like a lot of the parts are interchangeable. So it would make sense to make everything similar. So if something broke or whatever like that, it's easier.
Well, here's a
You have to have a separate mold for two different.
Well, here's a good question:
That doesn't make sense.
is the
It's
turning
annoying.
is the turning radius the same between the two?
No, I mean, the truck's got worse.
no, it does it?
I mean, it's harder. Well,
Because it's a Denali. The Denali has
it's just because it's a bigger vehicle.
Yeah,
I
the
mean, it's harder for me. Like,
the Denali has the dual turn on it.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
Okay, so
It's easier to-
So here's because we have
Denali.
a Suburban, and I'm always shocked at the crazy turning radius that it has, and then it's got all the sensors and everything. And so I'm thinking, like, obviously they designed this for a family
that's
person.
way easier to park.
Yeah, for like soccer moms and dads and stuff, because it drives like a car does, but maybe not necessarily with trucks.
Yeah.
So that would be my theory as to why why all that is.
Whatever.
I bought some Snapchat last week. and it's so
Wait, bought? What do you mean? You bought?
yeah, the stock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What do you mean? Yeah, what do you mean?
I don't know.
You
what
know
you-
something we don't know? Because this is like one of those things. That,
So
like,
my buddy who's
people have been talking
my
about.
buddy who's a day trader, like we're always like talking stock, and I love him to death. He's my best friend, but he fucking pisses me off so much. We've grown up since we were kids together, and he's like trying to leave being a principal and become like a full-time day trader, but he never shares tips like what he's learned or what he's like. He's that guy who's like, I did all my homework and research on this, so you don't deserve to get the information that I've put together, right?
Wow, it's so nice.
Every
of
now
him.
and
know.
then he's like, here's a crumb.
No, and I'm the opposite. I'm the friend who's like, if I learn it, I'm sharing it as I learn. I learn something, I try and tell my friends. Maybe they can compound on that together. Together we win. So anyways. We did get on this stock thread talking, and he said that he was buying Snap. And so for like the first time ever, he was like, yeah, I really like what I'm going to hold for at least 6 months. I like what I see that's coming up. But even then, he doesn't disclose everything. He just says he likes it. So I get on there. I look at their 52-week trend, and they're kind of like in the middle, lower end. So like, okay, I like that. Plus, I know we talked about Snap a while back and knew where their user base was growing. And so I actually bought it for Max, so in his portfolio. So I bought a bunch of Snap, and this morning I'm reading articles that come out, which was awesome, that they're up to 500 million users, and they're about to move into the e-commerce space big time. So listen to how they're doing this. This is fucking brilliant. So you remember how we talked about, I told you guys about how there's companies now, they're starting like the whole virtual close and stuff.
Yeah.
So you're through their app, you're gonna be able to like try on clothes, and then it'll be directly connected to the businesses, so you could buy it. So you could like go shop
Just through their filter. You
Yes.
holding it, and you can like watch
that's
it.
very smart.
Yes,
That's very smart.
Isn't that brilliant?
That is very smart.
I know. I thought that was so cool. So they're moving hard into that space. Their user base is up to 500 million. So they're growing in that space. And so already the stock is up since last week.
That's very interesting.
And I think it's going to go on a run for a while. So those that are listening,
Yeah. Well, speaking of stuff like that, the cryptos are still getting hammered. Like their value is getting destroyed right
Really?
now. Now, to be fair, because we got context, we got to look at context here. They're still way higher than they were a couple years ago, right? And you see historically it'll plummet, come back up, plummet, whatever. But I think as of right now, I believe they're at 30-something thousand.
I'll tell you what, though, you know what scares me to death about it? Who were we just talking about that, what's the guy? Snowden.
Yeah.
I sent you the video on that, right?
Yeah.
So I have like, because everyone's jumping on the whole crypto bandwagon and buying like crazy. I know I've been a fan of it since the beginning, talking about it. But I tell you what, one of the things that's supposed to be so great about it is the privacy, and he's like, they haven't solved that yet.
What he's talking about is the platforms that you buy
Yes.
in trade crypto.
Yes.
Coinbase or whatever. And you're right, that would be a huge Achilles heel, because the allure for a lot of people
That's right.
is exactly that. Now the other allure is that it's not it doesn't inflate itself, right? There's a very controlled release of Bitcoin. And it was supposed to be a great way to hedge against the dollar, which seems to right now obviously be not true, right? Because the dollar is getting hammered, and so is crypto. Crypto's also getting hammered.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but it is interesting. And I was looking at both sides, right? So you got Peter Schiff, who's like super anti-crypto. Of course, he's pro-gold, all that stuff. And he's like, he's having a heyday right now, making fun of all the crypto people.
Yeah.
But then I saw a chart with the performance of cryptos like Bitcoin. And he's like, this is what happens. There's lots of corrections, ups and downs, but it's still way higher than it was, a few years ago. So, hang tight, buy on the dip. That's the hashtag right now, buy on the dip. So,
Well, what's the prediction? I've heard people are saying as low as 10 that to come all the way down to.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I know there's been some
Depends on other countries that
Now,
block it.
Yes, that's the problem.
That's what I'm worried about.
Well, that's what caused this last big dip, right? Didn't China
It was
block
China banned their banks.
and then Tesla, announcing that.
Yeah, if let's say the U.S. came out and said, that's it, Bitcoin is illegal, that would hammer the price of Bitcoin. I think there's always going to be value on the black market for it, but as far as being mainstream, I don't think
it makes it difficult to trade.
Now,
and do
does it
things
have to do too with all the news that's came out with like inflation lately too? Because I know that there's a lot of stuff going on.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It should have done better because of that. Remember, historically, people said, Bitcoin is a good hedge against inflation because it doesn't get inflated. It's a controlled release. You
Which
have
is
to mine Bitcoin.
really weird that it would dip right now then when all that news is coming out right now about the inflation.
Remember,
rate
the
right now.
value is also based off of its demand, how much people want it. And the demand went down because of
Consumers got scared.
Yeah, because consumers got scared.
Well,
so,
that's what I mean by the inflation is one of the other reactions to inflation is people holding on to their money and freaking out.
Sure,
you know what I'm saying? So like could be why. I mean, everybody was spending money like crazy lately, and then everybody gets this news that oh my God, we're inflating at such a fast rate in comparison, right? Normally we're trending at like 2%
Yeah.
It just reports came out saying we're like 4.2 or something.
And it's going to probably keep
Which,
going.
by the way, I heard that number is a little bit skewed because they base it off of prior year that month, and last year this exact month was like one of the worst months we've ever had. It was flatline because of COVID.
You mean in terms of production of products?
Yes,
Because
yeah.
you have low supply.
That's right. So
dollars.
everything kind of froze. So we had like this. So it looks so dramatic because now we're on the kind of the rebound right now. Economically, we're seeing that. We're seeing where the rise come back, right? And like everything's starting to look good. People are selling, buying. We're getting jobs again. And because it's on the rise, and last year at this month, it was just like we were flatlined. It looks like inflation is worse than what it really is.
This will be a good question to ask, our
Peter Lululemon.
Yeah, who's going to be on the show. I want to ask him all these questions because, okay, and here's the thing, by the way. Inflation we've changed the meaning of inflation. Inflation, historically, economically, has always meant an increase in the money supply. It has not meant prices were higher. It just meant that the money supply went up. Prices going higher is not what inflation historically has meant. So have we been seeing inflation? Yes, we've seen massive inflation. The money supply has increased dramatically. But here's the problem, and I saw Peter Schiff talking about this, and it makes perfect sense. It reminds me of the minimum wage arguments that sometimes people make, is we don't know what the prices were going to do before the money supply got inflated. So if we see, let's say they print, $1 trillion, and then we're like, inflation didn't happen, prices went up 0.5%. What we don't know is if prices would have gone down 2% or whatever. So just like if we, change minimum wage and they say, oh, no, we still added jobs, we don't know the jobs that could have been added. So it's hard to come up with a specific number because we've increased our innovation, our productivity. We may have been in a situation where not only did we not get a little bit of increase in price, but maybe the prices would have gone down on a lot of things because of the productivity and the innovation that we introduced. It was a really good point that he made, I thought. So
No, I'm excited to have Peter Lululemon on the show.
Yeah, I'm curious too. Like I was talking with my friend about this and like how lumber and everything's up like 200%, and it's just like the materials and raw materials for things right now are through the roof. And, just thinking about that, like people that own like tree farms and whatnot. I mean, that's like crazy right now.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to look in that market.
I still think that one of the craziest stats that I heard, and it was when I listened to Peter Lululemon talk about what the average savings is right now as far as what people have in their bank accounts.
Is it higher? It's higher than it was
Three
before?
times. It's 3 times higher. So it's, people have the money right now. There's more money in bank accounts
Now,
right
is he
now.
comparing it to pre-2008? Is that I'm assuming that's the number he used.
It's comparing it to the last 3 decades in a row.
Oh, well, that's good.
So most people, on average, I want to say it was, and I brought this up in the podcast before, so you can go back and I've referenced the number that's probably more accurate. I believe it was like $2 or $3 trillion at all times is like in bank accounts.
Wow.
And right now it's at like 9. So there's money to be spent, and there's people, and which is part of why I think we see this spike in not only real estate. You see
Has
the spike
debt gone up?
No. There's not more people that are getting it going out to get loans for houses and things like that. That's
good.
Stayed at a similar rate.
Yeah, that's very good then.
Well, that's why a lot of people don't think this is a bubble. People don't that are saying like it's not like we have this massive number of people that are going and getting home loans, and a lot of these people are putting 20+% down on it, which was completely different than what we saw in 08.
Dude, it's okay here, and obviously we talk about here because we live here, and it's always crazy the prices of houses and all that stuff. Dude, the rental market is crazy too, right? I'm trying to find a place to move.
Yeah. By the way, did you get that or not?
I don't know. I haven't heard yet. So this is what's weird about it is I go to rent a place and I'll inquire and say, we're interested. We'd like to take a look. And they're like, oh, we're getting offers already before anybody even looks at them.
Yeah.
And they're bidding the price up of rent.
Yeah.
I'm so annoyed.
I know you sent me the house, and I was like, did you bid over? Like, I was like, first thing I said to you, because that's how, I mean, it was that way for Katrina and I when we were looking for places. Like, when I would send over, I'd be like, I'm an 800 something score. I'm willing to pay 6 months in advance. I'll pay you $200 over, like that. You had to do shit like that to get the place. That's how crazy it is.
I know. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
It's extremely frustrating. Okay, so you know the episode that we dropped recently on woke fitness, right? So it's crushing, right? I'm getting DMs. People are asking, or making a lot of comments on it. So I was thinking yesterday on how you could use that kind of woke philosophy to sell being fit, because you could use that philosophy any way you want. That's what's wonderful about it. That's why politicians love it, is I could take it and I could use it and twist it and then sell you whatever idea I have.
Explain where you're going.
So how can we take that woke kind of philosophy and tell people that you need to be lean and fit? So I came up with some interesting tips. So here's one right here. This is why you shouldn't be overweight. It's bad for climate change. Here's why. Because the amount
I like where you're going here.
the amount of carbon that your car produces because you're extra weight per year for your lifetime that planes
Think
produce.
of all the packaging and all that, from just eating.
All the wrappers you're
consuming
throwing
all
everything.
the food that you're eating as a result of it. Like, you are polluting more because there's more of you. So you are contributing to climate change.
all the methane gas.
If you're overweight. So so when people say to you they're super into saving the environment, and if they're obese, you can tell them they're full of crap, because they are actually contributing to climate change. Here's another one. You're eating more than your fair share. Right, so there's we all should be eating our fair share of food.
I mean, literally the same.
Yeah, and if
we all should be. The same.
and if you're overweight, it's like, hey man, you're eating more than your fair share of food. Like, that food should be given to someone else.
Wow, did you write all these down?
I did. Here's another one. You're giving too much money to evil corporations. There's these evil corporations. Why are you spending so much money with Nabisco and General Mills? Don't you know how bad they are?
Yeah, grow your own food.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the wokest thing to do.
And then here's another one. You're using up more than your fair share of healthcare. You got to leave some of that healthcare for people who need it.
I like that.
So there you go.
Are you going to do an Instagram post? Let's see how that does.
Yeah. Oh, no. I mean,
this.
it's obviously tongue in cheek, stupid, right? But it's just goes to show you could use that philosophy however you want, and you can make it very effective.
Oh my god.
So there you go. Fitness for the woke people. So Justin, I saw you take a bunch of the Mello from the back. You said you were going to have Courtney try it.
Yeah, I just grabbed a few more, so you can blame me for that. But this has been the most effective thing that she's used in order to, it's like a sleep aid. So not just like that feeling of like calm and all that before bed, but like, honestly, she's been getting really good deep sleep for it, and has been a little bit under the weather. So this has been like a lifesaver for her.
What's your theory on that, Sal? Because I'm having the same experience with this. Like, literally, I know like most of the commercials when we've talked about Ned, I've brought this up, and I'm not overselling it for it's literally everything that we've ever used product wise. It's that effective. It's become something I use almost every single night now. Do you think it's because I'm deficient? You think that's why? Because I have heard lots of people getting similar effects, but then I've had some of my family members, I've let them try it, and they're like, oh yeah, I kind of slept better. Like, it's noticeably different.
Like, what is it about magnesium specifically too? Because like that's definitely something that she noticed. She's like, man, I must be deficient in
Yes, that's what it is right there. So there's nothing in Ned. So there's Ned Sleep. So they have a product called Ned Sleep. Now that'll make you tired. That'll make you sleepy, and it doesn't matter if you're deficient, whatever. The stuff in Ned Sleep will just make
knocks you out.
It'll make you tired.
That's what I use every now and then.
Yeah, that's like, now Mello has got magnesium, but it's got forms of magnesium that have been the only forms that have been shown to cross the blood-brain barrier and to get absorbed, because there's a lot of magnesium products that are out there, but they're so poorly absorbed that you're essentially taking a laxative. Like, I used to take one, and it was a powder, and I would take it, and I would get this kind of laxative effect. And when I learned more about magnesium, I realized that that's really the only benefit of these common magnesium products. You need to get a form of magnesium that your body actually absorbs. So if you're deficient, then you will get profound effects from taking Mello. And it also has GABA in there, which is also something that relaxes
kind of sleepy.
Relaxes the brain. But that's the reason. So now, why would you be deficient in magnesium? A lot of us are. Stress.
Over 60%, right?
Yeah. So stress is a big one. We don't get lots of magnesium in our food. And if we supplement with magnesium, it tends to be the shitty versions of magnesium that you don't absorb. So and here's the thing, because it's not like a sleep aid like other products, right? You could take it every single day. Whereas with the other stuff that makes you sleepy, although those are very effective and have value, if you take them every single day, you may cause yourself to have a dependency.
That's another thing I noticed too. I don't feel it. Remember, I think when I first brought it up, I was like, I was trying to like use it as little as possible because I was afraid that like my body would adapt to it.
Not trying to get all dependent.
Yeah, and then I thought I'd have to keep scaling up to get that same effect. It's not like that.
No.
I take one packet of it. I take it almost every single night. It works exactly the same every single night.
Yep.
It's not. I don't feel like it dipping off or anything like that. It is amazing.
Yeah, the only way you would feel like it's not as effective anymore is if your magnesium now demands have been met. In which case, you would just be more relaxed and calm anyway. You see what I'm saying? Hey, look, you're watching this because you're into fitness, because you like to perform. But what if your performance is lacking in the most important place, the bedroom, right? What if you're not up to the occasion, and you might need a little bit of help? Well, we work with a company called Blue Chew. Now, they provide the same ingredients, the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but they mail it. They bring it right to your door in chewable form. This is an online service. You don't have to go to a doctor, have these awkward conversations. You don't have to go see someone in person. You do it all online. It's sent right to your door. And then you get these chewable tablets with these very effective ingredients. Remember, it's the same stuff that you see in Viagra and Cialis that can really help with some of your performance issues and anxiety. So here's the deal. Here's what you got to do. You go to bluechew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers. Once you're approved, you get the prescription actually within days. Now, here's the deal. This is what you got to do if you want to get the Mind Pump hookup. Go to bluechew.com, use the promo code MINDPUMP, okay? And you'll get your first month for free, which is pretty cool. All you got to do is pay $5 in shipping. Go check them out, get a little bit of help, and impress your girlfriend and your wife.
First question is from Georgie RX. What are the best exercises for your back for its width and thickness?
Oh, you know what? We have
thickness.
I don't know who picked this, but this is a good time to.
Yes, I know exactly where you're going. This is exactly why I picked it.
I am fucking it gets me so mad when I see these guys that are like, they want to discredit the deadlift for the back. And it annoys me so much because I understand traditionally and I understand biomechanically. I get it. I get it that the deadlift is a
hip hinging move.
That's right.
Only.
It's a hip hinge movement. I get it. It's primarily hamstring and glutes that get more. But I tell you what, anybody and everybody that I've got to load the deadlift and work on that always sees a huge improvement. And personally, out of everything that I've done lifting wise, nothing grew the thickness and size of my back like deadlifting.
100%. Even in bodybuilding. And this, you know where it comes from, this argument? There's two places it comes from. One, it's the biomechanic, PhDs, right?
Yeah.
Where
the one that has like the muscle activation sensors.
Yeah, or they're just like, oh no, it's hip hinging, so therefore whatever. So they have really no experience with the exercise. Then the other people that tend to protest this are the bodybuilder types, where everything is about, isolating and contracting, and this is, whatever. But I'll tell you what, even with the bodybuilding world, some of the best backs of all time in bodybuilding came from tremendous deadlifters.
Yeah,
right?
Ronnie Coleman is still known as the best back in bodybuilding ever.
Franco Columbu, obviously from in the 70s. I mean, by the way, Franco Columbu, look it up. In the 70s.
He was lifting cars.
Okay. In the 70s, you had bodybuilders that had like body parts that really stood out. This was before, like you have now, where bodybuilders are just crazy looking all the way around. Franco's back was on another planet. He had like a back of like a 90s bodybuilder in the 70s. He was a huge deadlifter. And what you can see from people who deadlift a lot typically is that mid-column of muscle, right? I'm talking about
the canal.
Yeah, the spine, and maybe like from the outsides of the spine like this. You just see this thick muscle that you end up building from the deadlift. So in my opinion, the deadlift is by far.
It gives this three-dimensional look to your back. And I mean, looking like when you unpack it and you think about it, I mean, we talk about the benefits of isometrics all the time.
Yeah.
And in order to keep the back from flexing or extending, that all those muscles that support the spine all the way down and they're not only are they working and activating, but most people that deadlift, they can deadlift way more than they can lat pull down, row, or do anything else. Significantly more.
It's the heaviest back exercise you could possibly do.
Exactly. So this idea that it's not a back exercise, to me, it's like, okay, it's not only a back exercise, it's very much so a hamstring and glute dominant type of movement. I'm not denying that whatsoever. But if you want an exercise that's going to, and you, especially if you don't heavy deadlift, that's where you're really, now if you already kind of deadlift and you're like, hey, I'm looking for other great exercises for my back,
right.
Well, we can talk about the row, we can talk about the lat pull down, we can talk about other great movements. But if you are not a major deadlifter and you're looking for a great exercise to develop the back, especially the thickness and the like the three-dimensional look to a back, heavy deadlifting.
It does. And by the way, it doesn't just activate the muscles of that thick, part, like you were saying, next to the spine.
Yeah, the lats are having to stabilize.
The lat, not just stabilize. Like when you start with the deadlift, you stand up, you are getting this adducting effect with the humerus too, because you're starting out here, and when you stand up, your arms are by your sides.
Right.
It's not a huge lat movement, but you are getting the lats to not just activate but also move. A lot of rhomboids are involved, right?
Traps.
Your scapula, because here's the thing with the
Keeping your
deadlift.
shoulders back.
With the deadlift, although you want to keep a neutral spine, your scapula round at the bottom, especially when it's really heavy. And that's perfectly safe, by the way. So when they say no back rounding, what they're referring to is the low back that you want to keep very neutral. But the upper back can round a little bit, especially the scapula. Then you stand up and your scapula.
You're upright.
And then you're upright. So crazy rhomboid activation, crazy trap activation. So for thickness, there's no exercise, in my opinion, that comes close. Now, width, when people talk about width, what they're referring to are the lats, right? The lats hang on the sides of the body, and when those develop, they build out. And so you get kind of this V shape to your body. I can't think of a better exercise than pull-ups and chin-ups.
Weighted pull-ups.
All those variations, right? So, and my favorite, I think, general width exercise would be a neutral grip or even a kind of a supinated grip pull-up. I like wide grip too, but the range of motion is a little shorter. And for some people, wide grip pull-ups are just...
You can go a lot heavier too on a neutral grip.
Yeah, they're just not, super great. Other exercises for thickness, barbell rows, dumbbell rows. Like there's your movements right there. It's going to give you that kind of that 3D look to your back. But if you're not deadlifting, practice deadlifting. Get good at deadlifting. Put them in your routine once a week. Get strong at them. And forgot to say, take a before picture. Do it for 6 months. Take an after picture. I dare you to show me that you didn't make a tremendous change in the way your back looks.
Next question is from Zelen Castiat. How much and when should you drink creatine in order to use it to its maximum potential?
I love the creatine questions because it's proven to be, aside from supplements that will meet some kind of nutrient deficiency, besides that, there is no supplement that comes close to, in terms of proven benefits to creatine. It's the most studied ergogenic supplement. There's got to be, thousands of well-done studies on it. It used to be thought that creatine just improves strength and muscle growth, but now we know it improves cognitive performance. It's got antioxidant properties. It helps with heart health. It may help with testosterone production. It may help with bone density. So it's this incredible supplement that I think a lot of people could benefit from.
I remember our coaches were super worried about it. Like it was some kind of like anabolic steroid that we had to be, we had to be concerned with, and we had people come in and talk to us about it and like finding out who's using it because it was effective. It was one of those supplements that actually had, you actually had something, positive as a result, especially strength wise that we noticed, from taking it. But yeah, it's the most studied. It's the most recognized in terms of like its benefits. And I think the exciting part is the cognitive stuff and the wellness aspects of it that we're just recently finding hang out.
That's what I'm most interested in. That do you think that we're going to see that? Do you think your health and wellness people are going to be promoting creatine?
It's already happening.
Are you seeing that?
So people that I know in the wellness space that are in the up and up, right, who tend to be the first ones to put things, they'll sell supplements that are for health, and you'll see now there'll be like a few ingredients, and one of them will be creatine monohydrate. And these are wellness supplements. So they're not even selling them to people who are trying to get bigger and stronger. They're selling them to people who want to improve their overall health. Because remember, creatine, it increases ATP. Okay, so an ATP is produced by the mitochondria of your cells. All the mitochondria of your cells, those are the cell's powerhouse. So creatine literally on a cellular level, because you've heard in the wellness space a lot that that it's so important to improve mitochondrial health, right? If your mitochondria are not healthy, cancer risk goes up, you age faster, you feel worse. So we got to make the mitochondria healthy. Creatine is part of that. It'll improve the health of your mitochondria. So yeah, it's already, and they're even starting to include it in some of these formulas for geriatrics. So these what are they called? The homes where they put where
retirement homes?
Yeah, like retirement homes. They are starting to use creatine to improve function and health,
Like muscle sparing or what?
muscle sparing, cognition is the big one. Heart health is another big one. They're noticing that when people take creatine, that their odds of having
the intracellular fluid, does that help too with joint pain? Like I would think a little bit. No.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything like that.
Now the dose is 3 to 5 grams, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah, traditionally it's 5 grams, but I just read a study that showed that people got great benefits from 2 grams. Just taking 2 grams a day, every single day, and they got really, really good.
Now most
benefits.
all your supplements that be either powdered form or pill, or they are in 5 gram doses.
Yes.
Most of them. So normally what I would tell clients is 3 to 5, and I'd say you could do 3 if you're already like a heavy steak eater, right? You eat a lot of red meat. Or if you eat a lot of red meat, then you probably don't need 5. Otherwise, you could probably take the serving size of 5 every day and you're fine.
Yeah, there's that, and then there's the how much muscle mass you carry. So the more, if you're a very small, petite person, then less creatine would be fine.
Oh, interesting. So I wonder what about somebody who's like a massive bodybuilder?
Then they would need to take 5 or maybe even 10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because that's where you're storing a lot of this is in the muscle. So this is why back in the day.
So I wonder, do you have any idea what most of the studies are done on? Like what size?
No, all the studies will do 5 grams.
No. What type of person? Because if your studies are showing 5 grams and they take an average person who's 180 pounds and only has 75 pounds of muscle on them, that'd be dramatically different than a guy who carried 200 pounds of muscle on his body when he's bodybuilding.
Not specifically, but most studies are done on college-aged men. So that's usually what you see when you read studies. Those are the people that volunteer for studies, or college-age guys. They tend to be,
you need $50.
They got nothing better to do.
They need $50.
Yeah, they're the same ones that are signing up for donating their body to science to get paid $100.
Yeah, or get injected with some weird thing.
Exactly.
They're cool
More
with risks, and they get $50. Right?
Totally.
So yeah, but the more recent study showed 2 grams with everyday people, including athletes, had great benefits. So I think 5 grams is fine. There's no all the studies that have been done on creatine, actually not all of them, most of them were 5 grams. None of them showed adverse effects or anything like that. So you're fine taking 5, but I don't think most people even need 5, especially if you're not you don't have a ton of muscle. And like you said, if you eat a lot of food that that contains creatine. And what they used to say back in the day, and some companies still say this, is do a loading phase of 20 grams a day for a week and then go to 5 grams. And what this does is it gets your stored creatine levels, if you will, up faster. Because once you get up to a certain level, then what you're doing is just maintaining that. But to get it up faster, you could take more. I disagree with that. I don't think that's necessary. I think it's a waste of creatine.
Plus, it's harsh on your stomach.
Yeah, I don't think that's
that whole loading phase thing.
Nah, I think 2 to 5 a day. That's it. And I don't even take it every day. I take 5 grams and I take it 5 days a week. Saturday and Sunday I usually don't take it.
Next question is from Sebastian Ortiz. You guys talk a lot about building muscle to speed up the metabolism to make fat loss easier. However, I have heard that this doesn't matter because as you build more muscle and increase your metabolism, you just keep getting hungrier, making the fat loss just as hard compared to where you were at before. What are your thoughts on this?
That's terrible advice.
Yeah.
Whoever gave that to you.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter. Okay, so there's a couple things that we have to clarify on. There's healthy hunger, and then there's a relationship with food where you have cravings, which is very different. You can have cravings because you're stressed, or because when I watch a movie, I always eat, a bowl of popcorn with a lot of butter, or, I'm upset, or, I get triggered by food. I'm at a party, and we all know this. How many times have we eaten foods that, trigger us, even though we're full? Like, oh, I'm stuffed, but there's some chocolate. I'm going to go throw down that chocolate. Real hunger is healthy. There's nothing wrong with real hunger. And the reason why you're hungrier in the real sense, in the healthy sense, when you build muscle, is exactly because your body is fueling this muscle. It's fueling this fat burning machinery. Not only that, but I know studies will show that every pound of muscle, they'll say, oh, it only burns an extra 10 calories, which still isn't trivial. You gain 5 pounds, that's 50 calories a day. You do the math, that equals a decent amount per year. But it's not that simple. The metabolism's super complex, and there's this range of efficiency and non-efficiency with calories. In other words, you can have a faster or slower metabolism with the same lean body mass. Building muscle through resistance training, not only are you building the muscle, but you're also telling especially if you feed your body with high quality protein and good food, you're telling your body with the resistance training that it can't, not only does it have a faster metabolism because of the muscle, but it's also being less efficient with calories, meaning more calories are being burned for heat and for other purposes. So here's, I would love your guys' stories on this, but I can remember, countless times clients would train with me, and after about 6 months or 8 months of consistent resistance training, they'd be like, okay, this is really weird, but I'm eating more than ever. Mm-hmm. I'm so much hungrier than I used to be, but I'm still getting leaner. This is really weird. Like, what's going on? I'm like, well, your metabolism is roaring, but I'm eating more. I'm so much hungrier. That's a good thing. Keep it going.
Well, this is also a good goal, right? So this is actually, when I do this with clients, like I'd say, listen, we're going to increase calories. Our goal is going to build muscle. I know you hired me to lose weight, but we're not going to get there yet. I want to speed your metabolism up, and so we're going to increase calories, try and build muscle. He said, well, how long? I said, well, I'd like to get you to a place, and by the way, this is very possible for whoever's asking this question, for you to get to a place where it's actually hard to obtain all those calories.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that is such a great place to then go, let's go the other direction now. So my goal, when I would tell these clients, I'd say, well, I actually want to get you to a place where you look back at me and go, Adam, I'm just having a hard time getting all these calories because we've sped your metabolism up. Then I'd say, okay, cool. Don't worry about it. Then now I just want you to eat when you feel like it. When you're hungry, eat, stay course with the types of foods that we've been eating.
Naturally shave down.
And you naturally come down. Another point to make too, okay? When we do shift gears to decide that we're going to cut and reduce body fat, feeling hungry is a very normal thing. It's okay. That's a normal. This is going to happen when you are deciding you're going to lean out. You're going to be in a caloric deficit for days. Okay, you're going to be hungry. And that's part of this, is getting comfortable and with that. A lot of times you have hunger and this craving thing hitting at the same time, and it's like this overwhelming feeling of like, oh, I'm craving and I'm hungry. Yeah. And many times when you just discipline yourself, or go have a glass of water, or go for a walk for a little bit, it subsides and it passes a little bit, and it's not so bad anymore. So you got to learn to get comfortable with that feeling too. Now, I only want you getting comfortable with that feeling when you're at a very healthy place calorie-wise. If you come to me and you go, Adam, I'm really hungry, and I go, well, how many calories are you eating? Oh, I'm only eating 700 a day. Okay, well, that's not enough. That's not a sustainable place for you to be. Right. But if you tell me, man, I've had 2,300 calories, Adam, and I'm still hungry, that's okay. We're in a cut phase right now. It's totally normal.
That's such a good point. Like, especially too, to be in a healthy place. Cause this is where I found a lot of benefit in deciphering between the two, of having a craving versus hunger. And that was like to refrain for like 24 hours and like, do a fast where I could like really see where my tendencies lied, in terms of like, I would go someplace just because it was ritual, or, I would have these things kind of pop up and these feelings pop up, but a lot of times it was cravings, and then you can kind of like, get through that and struggle through that. But to learn that about yourself, and like when you actually really are hungry, a lot of times it's only going to happen when you're in a healthy place where you can build yourself up to that point where, I eat good amount of food, and I'm actually putting the work in too, which you feel that it's supplying, that demand.
I've also heard somebody describe, and I wish I remember who described this, they're going to say, they said it probably way better than I'm going to say it right now, but there's a point where your body switches systems, right? So it goes from utilizing sugar as its primary source of fuel, glucose, right? So it's if you're always being fueled and you're eating all the time and you're over consuming, it's going to use food. That's its main source of fuel. But if you're in a caloric deficit for a consistent period of time, the body then shifts over and then will start to metabolize fat. And that shifting over feeling sometimes creates that feeling of, oh, I'm hungry. That's the body transitioning. So I used to tell clients, like, listen, here's what's really cool, okay? And let this help motivate you when you're sitting on the couch at 7 o'clock at night and you kind of feel hungry. That all of a sudden you feeling that and you know you ate that way all day, that's your body switching over now and is starting to metabolize fat. And if you can just discipline yourself not to go run to the cupboards and go, pop a bunch of popcorn or eat a bunch of snacks, because as soon as you do that, now the body switches over and it's going to use that as fuel. But at that moment, you're sitting watching TV and your body's burning fat. You're not exercising, you're not lifting weights, you're just chilling and you're burning body fat. But the moment you go over and you start to consume calories, then the body switches back over and is now going to use that food as fuel.
Right. Now, we all been mentioning cravings, right? So here's a good way to discern craving versus hunger, right? So let's say you're going to go eat lunch and your friend says, hey, what would you like to eat? And you're like, I don't know. And they say, do you want Mexican food? And you go, I'm not in the mood for Mexican food. Well, what about, Chinese? I'm not in the mood for Chinese. You know what I really would like? I really would like, this thing. That's what I'm into right now, right? That's a craving, right?
So true.
Yeah. Hunger is...
Everything sounds
hungry,
good.
Yeah, you just want to eat.
Yeah.
Give me whatever it is.
Yeah, so long as it's not repulsive. Like hunger, I don't really care where we go. I'm just hungry. I'd like to eat some food, so let's...
Which, by the way, you'll notice that when you get to that point where you're truly hungry and you eat something, it's
all good.
Yes, you're satisfied right
Absolutely.
away from it.
Absolutely.
Everything tastes better.
Now back to you earlier, Adam, you said clients would tell you, you want to get to the point where they're like, I can't eat anymore. And someone listening might be like, oh, that'll never happen to me. Okay. One caveat is the foods that you're eating, right? If they're unprocessed whole natural foods, then what Adam says will happen. If they're heavily processed foods, that might not happen because heavily processed foods are engineered to make you eat more. So you might think to yourself, like 3,000 calories a day, I could easily do that. And you're thinking French fries and potato chips and, pizza. Well, yeah, now it's easy because you're eating foods that are hyper palatable, that are literally designed to make you overeat. But if you stick to whole natural foods, especially if your diet is high in protein, you will hit that point, especially with the protein. Like I heard that on the regular from clients when they're like, I can't eat 130 grams of protein a day. I'm like stuffed. Like there's no way I could do that. But if I let them eat, or if they ate heavily processed foods, then they're going to be able to hit those calories and then some, no problem.
Next question is from Lucy Brown 94. Any advice for refocusing your goals after moving away from team sports?
Oh, good old team sport. Yeah. Clients who did this, who were athletes, and then they would come maybe 10 years ago, and then they would hire a trainer. They were really hard to train.
They're always hard to train.
Very hard to train.
They still have that athletic mentality.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of hits home a little bit just because, if you really identify as an athlete and it's something that you have trained and gone through school and you're just always in the mix of I'm in the off season, I'm in season, and this is just one of those things. It's a really hard ritual to just all of a sudden give up and turn course. And now what do I do? It's it's this whole it's a tough moment where you have to kind of reinvent yourself because you've placed so much of your identity in that direction. So I totally get it.
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with in sports, there's such a mental aspect, right? And you've been rewarded for pushing beyond your limits in sports. So and it doesn't matter what sport, name a sport, any sport, right?
Yeah.
And you training to that next level and overreaching all the time actually benefits you most of the time, right? Unless you're doing something physically like weight training for your sport.
Go crazy or whatever.
Right, but the more you do of your sport, the better you get at your sport. And so so you've been rewarded for that mentality. Well, when you're dealing with fat loss and muscle building, it's way more scientific, and there's a lot more that's coming into play here, and that same mentality doesn't reward you the same way.
No.
And so it's really tough to make that switch of, I know that the harder I push, the more I do in sports, the better I am at that sport. That's not necessarily true with fat loss and building muscle.
Yeah, now you have to think more long term. That inhibits your progress at a certain point. And that's what I had to figure out was that train hard and leave it all in the gym kind of mentality. You just like your body changes over time too. And so to be able to, look at this and see what's the healthiest thing for me and what I really want to accomplish now sort of in the second half is like you have different priorities, and you have to realize that like you have to train your body a different way in order to benefit you long term with this.
So I love taking, and of course I'm just assuming or guessing where this person is at, but most people that were athletes before have this kind of high intensity, keep it moving type of mentality when they want to lift. And so I love taking them into like a strength phase with long rest periods and forcing the rest periods. I love a program like our MAPS Power Lift because of that, because it's very structured. Yeah. It's got long rest periods in it.
It's still somewhat competitive.
Yeah, exactly. So you're watching your weights go up, and so they'll like that part of it. But then you got to really follow the structure of sitting there and resting for 3 minutes, which is like a lifetime for the athlete. The athlete who's used to running up and down the courts or up and down the field, constantly moving, constantly sweating like crazy. You may actually do these workouts and not hardly break a sweat, and that's really tough for them to realize that can still be a great workout.
Well, one of the biggest challenges that I encountered with people like this was they went from training for a particular competition or a goal to now I'm training just because I need to keep exercising and stay healthy. So it's like, what am I training for, right? Now, one of the reasons why I might not recommend MAPS Powerlift is because you might get the athlete who's then like,
they're going to sign up for meets.
I'm going to compete. Yeah, and it's that same mentality. I'm still an athlete that's going to compete in powerlifting. Here's the challenge. The challenge is, and this is a challenge for everybody, it's especially challenging with athletes, is you need to exercise for the sake of exercising. You need to enjoy the workout for the sake of the workout, not necessarily because you're going to hit some target. Because if you continue to train your body with goals where like, I need to hit this number, I need to do this run. Because here's what I would see with these ex-athletes is they would sign up for a marathon.
Yep.
Or a triathlon,
Muddy Buddy, or
a bodybuilding show, or a powerlifting competition, because they don't know how to train without a competition.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with competition, but athletes aren't the healthiest people in the world, specifically because they're pushing their body to the limit. If you're, done with that athletic period of your life, and you just want to improve your health, you can't always do that. And there's nothing wrong for signing up for things here and there. But if you get caught up in that, you're going to hurt yourself. You're going to beat up your body.
You can totally do it. You can totally reframe your workouts and go through those types of lifts where you're just doing it because it makes your body feel good.
Yes.
And you want to come back to it because it's something that's almost therapeutic, but you maintain a lot of the skills and a lot of the abilities and things by appropriately training your body. And this is why I really got into mobility, and I really took that on with a competitive mentality because I knew that I wish I would have done all that stuff going into sports because I would have been such a better athlete. But now it's like, I know it's going to benefit me because I'm going to feel good. I'm like, my joints are going to feel good. I'm going to wake up in the morning. I'm going to want to throw the ball to my kids. I'm going to want to get up and go for a hike. And, I just want to do shit.
Yeah, that's and your opinion is real important here, Justin, because I remember you telling me, because you went very high level with football. You competed, you were in college and you played it. And then I remember you saying after you finished college football, you actually had a long period where you didn't work out at all.
Yeah.
Almost you didn't want to.
Yeah.
What was the mentality? Like, why did you say, no, I don't want to do this for a little while?
Yeah, I think it was just that I had always lived in the gym and I was always doing the hardest lifts I could possibly do. There was no in between. Like I didn't really do it for those reasons, like to really help my body feel good or to even for aesthetic purposes. Like I never had that mentality. It was always crush myself. And I think I got to a point where I just was like, I crushed myself. Like I was done.
Yeah.
And so I just had to take a break, and it was a good break, but it also made me like miss it. And I was just like, I don't feel good. My body's like just doughy and gross. And like, I was winded all the time and I was in pain, and I'm just like, this isn't a way to live either. So yeah.
You can be competitive still. You just got to be competitive about different stuff, right? So instead of like how much I'm lifting, how hard can I go, it's like how consistent can I be with adding yoga into my routine? How consistent can I be with my diet?
That's true.
And compete with yourself to be better about this. I mean, I'm a wannabe athlete, right? So I didn't go play college basketball or anything like that, but I've played sports my whole life, and I even played in adult leagues as I got older. And so I've always been that mindset I totally identify with. And so there is some value to it. Like, I mean, any athlete at all, especially if you reached higher levels, you've had to apply some serious discipline, competitiveness, like, so you can do that. You just need to reframe it a little bit. It's you need to back off the intensity and hammering yourself all the time and pushing that side of it, and push the side of it with consistency and introducing things or challenging yourself, right? Athletes love to challenge themselves. So challenge yourself by doing a modality that you know is probably good for you, but you don't want to do.
Like that's the challenge.
Right. Like, so that, I mean, why I was so successful with my mobility journey the last couple of years is because I took that athletic mindset. I became competitive. Like, I could do this 7 times a day. And I knew that it wasn't going to hurt me to do mobility work 7 times a day. Now, initially when you do it, it's lame. It's not hard. I'm not really, it's not like what I'm used to as a sport. But I took that mentality and I applied it to something that I knew would benefit my body, and I was competitive with myself. So there are some great attributes to that athletic mindset. You just need to reshift it.
Yeah. Now, there's one part that we're not talking about, which in my experience was the hardest part to deal with athletes, which was diet. Oh my God, was this hard with diet? Because
you're moving so much, you don't really have to account for it. No big deal.
Yeah, and they usually did the sport when they were in high school or college. So by the time they hire me, they're 10 years out of college, right? So they're in their 30s. So yeah, I was a competitive swimmer, D1 or whatever, or I was a competitive basketball player in high school, and they remember how they looked. Oh, I was so fit when I did that. So I'm going to do what I did back then. And so what they do is they swim sometimes and they work out with me, but they're not really swimming twice a day or 3 times a day like they did in college.
Yeah. They're also not walking around the college campus to classroom to classroom.
And they're also not 20 years old.
They're also older.
15,000 steps a day.
And then they eat like crazy, and they don't, and their concept of appropriate portions is so skewed. I remember specifically, there was this woman that I trained, and she was very, very high-level athlete in college. In fact, she was an alternate for the World Cup for soccer at one point. So she's super high level. And she's like, oh, it's crazy, Sal. She's like, I walk every day. I'm lifting with you twice a week, and I just can't get any leaner. And she's like, and I'm like, what are you eating? And she's telling me the foods. And I'm like, well, that sounds pretty good. And like, can you like send me a picture of like what you're eating? She sends me a picture. I'm like, how much do you think that chicken breast weighs that you're showing me right there? She's like, I don't know, like 5 ounces. I'm like, put it on the scale. It's like a 12-ounce chicken breast. She's like, but this is what I used to eat. I'm like, okay, it's not like when you were, doing double days in college and you were 20. Yeah. So we had to like completely learn portion sizes because she was so used to eating these tremendous portion sizes as an athlete that I had to like get, and it took a while. It was really, really hard.
This is why you see in some of those professional sports realms, the life expectancy is really low, like leaving because of those types of habits. And you can't maintain that. But for some reason, like psychologically, we still kind of maintain the plate, the portion sizes, it's just one of those things like food it's just ingrained. We ritualize it so much that it just becomes like that's one of the hardest things to kick.
Totally. Look, if you like our information, if you like our podcast, you will love our free content that we offer on mindpumpfree.com. Head over there, download some guides, get some help, get some good information, help you burn body fat, build muscle, improve your strength, performance, and mobility, and even become a better personal trainer. We have all those guides on there, and much more. You can also find all of us on Instagram. So you can find Justin at MindPumpJustin, me at MindPumpSal, and Adam at MindPumpAdam. Self-image is, am I a person worthy of being taken care of? Am I a human worthy of some dignity, some respect? I have some good qualities to me. I'm not a bad person. Body image is just objective. I look in the mirror. I'm short. I'm tall. I'm hairy, bald, or
I'm fat,
or I'm overweight. And